Hey guys, I hope you guys are having a great day. So today's possibly the last day of second year of medical school, and so today I basically just have like a test in the morning, like an ethics test, and then I have a hospital training. So I'm going to have my oatmeal as usual, morning oats, and I'm going to head off to the gym real quick, and then I'm going to go to class and have a test. Hey guys, so I basically just finished my workout, did a quick push workout with a little bit of biceps. I didn't have much time because I realized I needed to do some practice questions. So I was kind of doing practice questions while I was working out and didn't have much time. So I got a few minutes to head over to school. So I'm just gonna change. And I got my protein shake and I'm going to head off to class now. Wish me luck. It's gonna be hopefully the last test of second year in my first 2 years of med school. Okay, so I just finished my last exam of second year of medical school, and we just finished our hospital training. We got these cool jackets to look official. It feels crazy to think that we actually finished 2 years of med school, and now that we finished our lecture-based portion, I'll be starting my dedicated studying pretty soon, and taking the step hopefully like the first week of July, and then going on my rotations pretty much right after. It feels crazy, it hasn't fully sunk in yet, but it's crazy how fast time's kind of flown by. Right now I'm kind of tired, so I'm gonna go for a little walk and probably get home and eat a little bit and just relax for a little while. So time for a walk. Yeah, so I just came back from my walk and I kind of just like vegged out in front of the computer. So I was pretty much just like watching a ton of YouTube videos, snacking on carrots, tomatoes, non-fat Greek yogurt. Dan really needs to sponsor me because I keep shouting him out like every single video. So if you guys work at Dan, and hook me up. But yeah, I've pretty much just been watching YouTube videos, just relaxing since I just finished the last of my 3 finals, and I just finished the end of second year. I feel like I kind of should celebrate a little more, but I'm kind of tired from just like the week of testing, and we had a lot of like instructional training for next year. Those are kind of long and kind of boring, honestly. So I don't know how my uploading schedule is, but I didn't get to talk about the clinical case for last week. It was basically an older man who was a retired dentist, and he didn't really have many concerning symptoms or anything like that. He might have had like a little bit of back pain or some bone pain, and he had things like hip fracture a few years ago, a GI bleed a few years ago. He was on a few medications for I think like things like hyperlipidemia and things like that. But overall, his like condition was pretty stable. I don't remember the exact details, but I think what happened was on routine workup, he was found to have abnormal blood values, and whoever was in charge of the case basically did an SPEP and found that there was a huge M spike, kind of indicative of things like multiple myeloma. So I was going to talk a little bit about it as usual. So multiple myeloma is a monoclonal cancer that arises from the bone marrow. Again, bone marrow would be in the medullary cavity right here. And in multiple myeloma, there are large amounts of IgG and IgA that are made. As you can see in the normal curve, actually, there's a various distribution of serum proteins. With multiple myeloma, there's a large M spike right here. It's usually 3 grams per deciliter, I believe, or above. So multiple myeloma accounts for 1 to 2% of all cancers. Its incidence is about 4 to 5 individuals in about 100,000 in the US at least, and incidence rates are similar in other parts of the world as well. Multiple myeloma happens 2 to 3 times higher in African Americans and African blacks versus white populations. There's also lower incidence in Asians from Japan specifically, Mexicans, women compared to men, and individuals with lower BMI as opposed to those with higher BMI. Multiple myeloma is the most common primary tumor of bone origin. In people over the ages of between 40 to 50 years old, the mean diagnosis is usually around age 66. Multiple myeloma is associated with certain other disorders like MGUS, which is monoclonal gammopathy of undetermined significance. About 1 to 2% of these patients develop multiple myeloma each year. There aren't CRAB symptoms with MGUS as opposed to multiple myeloma, and I'll be talking about CRAB symptoms later on. So multiple myeloma is also associated with primary amyloidosis, AL amyloid specifically, and that's basically an abnormal protein buildup in different tissues of the body. Differential diagnoses could include things like Waldenstrom's macroglobulinemia, which also has an M spike, but it's an IgM M spike, and it leads to things like hyperviscosity, which causes blurred vision, Raynaud's phenomenon, where there's basically like a vasoconstriction or spasm of small blood vessels, leading to things like bluish fingertips in the cold. And with Waldenstrom's macroglobulinemia, there won't be CRAB symptoms. There's also smoldering multiple myeloma, where there's an M spike, and 10 to 60% of bone marrow cells, bone marrow plasma cells could be present. However, there may just be an M spike, but there's no end organ damage or amyloidosis. There's also simply AL amyloidosis, PO-EMS, and metastatic carcinoma. So multiple myeloma presents with increased susceptibility to infection. This is usually due to strep pneumoniae and gram-negative bacteria. This is due to two main things: impaired immune function from impaired lymphocyte function, suppressed normal plasma cell function, hypogammaglobulinemia, and physical factors like decreased hypoventilation secondary to pathological fractures and pain in the ribcage and spine. There's also back pain, which is very common. So the CRAB symptoms I referred to earlier are things like hypercalcemia, renal involvement, anemia, and bone lytic lesions and back pain. And these are kind of the defining characteristics of multiple myeloma. Again, AL amyloidosis could be present. And as you can see here in this individual, his tongue is swollen up with the amyloid proteins that are deposited in his tongue. Bence-Jones proteins could also be present. These are immunoglobulin light chains in the urine. You'd see an M spike again on SPEP, which is the test I showed you in the previous slide. And there could be punched out lesions on x-ray. So here you can see things like these spots right here. They're basically areas that have been basically punched out. With the rouleau formation, the blood cells basically clump up on each other and form these sort of chains of discs, and I'll be showing you that in a little bit. Also, there'll be numerous plasma cells with intracytoplasmic immunoglobulin inclusions and clock-face chromatin. These are also indicative of multiple myeloma. And there'll be changes in labs like elevated creatinine, fatigue and weakness, weight loss. The amount of these will vary depending on the individual patient case. So for the workup, you do things like a CBC with differential, a peripheral blood smear. Again, you will see things like here's the rouleau formation I was talking about, as well as other symptoms I mentioned previously. Also, a chem panel would be important for things like albumin, creatinine again for decreased renal function, calcium, again hypercalcemia is important to acknowledge, lactate dehydrogenase, beta-2 macroglobulin, and various other markers. You do an SPEP, which is the serum protein electrophoresis that I showed you earlier, as well as a UPEP, which is a urine protein electrophoresis. On the SPEP, you'd see the M spike, and on the UPEP, you'd see the Bence-Jones proteins. You'd also do I think it's a free serum light chain analysis. Additionally, you do a bone marrow aspiration and biopsy with immunophenotyping. This would help you determine various things like if there was amyloidosis and protein deposition in the tissues like the bone marrow that was causing these symptoms instead of multiple myeloma. It would also give you other clues on the patient's case. So you'd also want to see the serum viscosity, especially if the M spike is over 5 grams per deciliter, because it may be Waldenstrom's macroglobulinemia, for example, and there could be a hyperviscosity present leading to things like vision issues and Raynaud's, as they talked about previously. Imaging is also very important, so you could do CT, PET with CT. I think they use low-dose radiation for these, as well as an MRI. And you do whole-body cross-section imaging. This has been shown to be more effective than plain radiographs. And what you want to see here especially is evidence of metastasis, because this could lead to poor prognosis. For risk stratification, you want to stratify the patient into severe, moderate, and I think normal risk. I could be wrong on those, but there's basically 3 types of risk categories, and you want to try to determine their eligibility for hematopoietic stem cell transplantation. Ideally, you'd want an autologous bone marrow transplant over an allogeneic bone marrow transplant, because autos have been shown to be more effective, and allos have some controversy behind them on whether they're effective or not. Unfortunately, certain patients, especially, for example, in the US, they have to have a certain direct bilirubin level, and they have to be, I believe under the age of 77 or something like that to be considered considered, and they may have some other consideration factors as well. But the definitive treatment of multiple myeloma will pretty much boil down to having an autologous stem cell transplant, where you want to take the hematopoietic stem cells out of the body, you want to freeze the cells, you want to undergo chemotherapy to destroy whatever else is there, and you want to reintroduce the stem cells into the body so that they can produce ideally healthy bone marrow and healthy hematopoietic stem cells without cancer. And the prognosis can be pretty effective if autologous HCT is used along with chemotherapy. Okay, I hope you guys like that. So right now I'm just going to, again, it's kind of like my chill day since I just finished my week of exams. Oh yeah, also I need to work on some, we actually have some random kind of like busy work almost things due at the end of the week. Things like, we have some online nutrition modules, some like public health ethics write-ups, and some online training for, I think, the EMR systems for the different hospitals that we're working on. And nutrition, unfortunately, like, I kind of wish the nutrition curriculum was like a little more rigorous or strategically like placed throughout med school, but I feel like a lot of med schools kind of overlook it and overlook the importance of it. Maybe it's because I'm trying to go into primary care that I care about so much, but I feel like nutrition and exercise are huge things and we really need to focus on it a little bit more in med school. I'm gonna go work on those. After that, I'm gonna probably draw a little bit. After that will be dinner, and then I'll probably head off to bed early because I haven't been sleeping so much, so I want to rest up for tomorrow and hopefully get a lot of productive work done tomorrow. Oh yeah, also one more thing, I've been reading The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. It might have came out a few years ago, I'm not sure. It's a really great book. If you haven't checked it out, you might want to check it out. I guess I'll include the link to the book down below as well. Basically, the author became interested in HeLa cells, which were an immortal cell line that was taken out from the cervical cancer cells of a patient named Henrietta Lacks. He was an African-American patient who lived, I think, in the mid-1900s. It's basically an interesting novel that kind of brings up a lot of issues like how different minority groups like women or African-Americans were kind of taken advantage of throughout history, and how certain individuals deserve more credit for the things that they've contributed to science, since like HeLa cells, for example, have been so important for things like cancer research, for the development of lots of vaccines and like therapeutic measures that a lot of people, like millions of people, probably benefit from even today. Henrietta Lacks often still doesn't get the recognition that she deserves, and even her family, like a lot of them lived in poverty and couldn't have like basic healthcare access, while people like researchers and companies that profited off her cells earned like millions of dollars for what they're able to do and use the HeLa cells for. So it shows like people being taken advantage of throughout history. It shows just like an interesting story of how some scientific discovery kind of helped a lot of people. It also reveals how throughout history certain historical events led to certain things that certain like cultural shifts that exist in populations even today that sometimes affect things like healthcare in populations. For example, a lot of African American communities are very hesitant to participate in research studies, or they're suspicious of them, or even like doctors, because of incidences like these and the Tuskegee experiments and a lot of other unethical research studies where certain communities were taken advantage of, largely because they didn't have the power to kind of defend themselves and protect themselves. And the book also kind of goes over things how like morality and ethical decision making, even in respected communities like the scientific community, really evolves with time, and how even in a relatively near past of the mid 1900s or late 1900s, there was a lot of things that people would consider gravely unethical that happened, and it was just kind of accepted by the world. So it kind of makes you wonder how many things nowadays that we do or are still going on that are unethical and that are really a big deal, that are kind of overlooked, or that we even might not even realize. So yeah, definitely go check out the book. I'll include the link down below. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by, I think, Rebecca Skloot. Let me know what you guys think if you do end up reading the book.
You all about my business, yeah, I've been working hard, always keeping to myself. Why you acting like a witness, man, trying to get a piece once I'm getting
But unfortunately, I forgot to show you guys my smoothie. So I'm still part of the Pot and Water crew. Still have my protein smoothie, but I forgot to show you guys. And I had my carrots and my tomatoes and stuff like that, like usual. Drew a little bit. My art video for my EV drawing is coming out soon. I still haven't finished it yet, but I'm trying to figure out if I should make a second channel for that or just put it on this channel. I feel like you guys might not want to actually watch a full art tutorial video, so I'll probably make a second channel, but let me know down below if you have any ideas. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe down below, share this video with your friends, comment down below if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, concerns, anything like that. Thanks again so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Remember, you only have one life, so make the most of it. Take care.